Hi guys, it's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. It is currently a very gloomy Sunday morning-ish and I'm so excited to start the process. You see a dog? Are you mad? Are you staring at a dog out the window? But I'm so excited to start the process of this vlog. I leave for New York in a few days. So I'm just trying to do as much reading as I possibly can between then and now. It's Sunday, this vlog will wrap up on a Tuesday, and I'm really looking forward to my TBR. It's kind of like a sci-fi moment. It's kind of some popular books, some books I've been meaning to read for a long time. So without further ado, let's dive into them. The first book I want to read is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This book is everywhere. It's like beloved by everyone. And I don't know, I just really personally want to check it out. It's a sci-fi short story. It's said to be kind of like a positive post-apocalyptic future story. And I just feel like everyone says it's cozy and delightful and I could use a little pick-me-up personally. So I really want to read this. It's only like 140-ish pages. So it should be a very quick read. From there, I thought I'd continue my sci-fi trend and pick up A Desolation Cold Peace by Arcady Martin, a sequel I've been meaning to read for way too long. The first book being A Memory Called Empire, which I read 2 years ago now and really loved. It's a fast-paced political thriller sci-fi story and I really just enjoyed every single second of it. So I want to pick up the sequel. One, because the setting is rather complex and I just don't want to forget too much. Just honestly my Achilles heel when it comes to reading in general. And two, I just feel like this will be a fast read and a really gripping read. So I'm really looking forward to see what I think about this sequel. And then I also have The Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb. I have started this. I'm about 70 pages of the way through. And I just want to continue kind of slowly and methodically reading this book throughout the rest of the month. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it. If not, I can carry it over to the next month. But I just want to make sure I'm still prioritizing this even when I'm reading other things. So that's the plan. But as I said, it is currently Sunday morning. Clay and I are actually about to head out. We're gonna go to the movies, a little matinee, lunch, Guardians of the Galaxy moment, which should be fun. It's like a perfect rainy day activity. Then we're gonna come home. I have some work I need to do, cleaning, you know, classic Sunday vibes. But we're gonna head out now. Okay, goodbye. Here's Clay's OOTD. Nice. And there's Millie. Also a big fan of Clay's OOTD. And we are back home from the movie and honestly, it was pretty cute. It was heartwarming. I feel like I'm getting some Marvel fatigue. Not because they're bad movies, but just like the structure, I think we all can say we're getting pretty familiar with it. But wait, did I say what movie we saw? We went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And as I just said, it was good, heartwarming, funny. I liked learning more about Rocket particularly, but they're just not hitting for me like I feel like they usually do. You know what I mean? But now I am home. I'm gonna start dinner and I'm also gonna start my first book of the vlog, which I'm gonna do A Psalm for the Wild Built. This, as I mentioned, is a novella story. I believe it has to do with like humans and robots. Our main character is a monk and they are a tea monk, which basically is kind of like this world's therapist in some ways. They brew like specific tea for people and they can share their feelings and they kind of can get comforted by our main character. And our main character, I think, kind of has a bit of a flashpoint where they feel like they want to do something else and so they like venture into the wilderness. So I believe it's a journey tale. I believe it's heartwarming, all of that stuff. But first, I'm gonna make dinner. We're also gonna watch Succession tonight, just lay low. I did a bit of work for the past few hours. Clay did a lot of cleaning, which I'm grateful for, and I did not help at all. But I was working, so, you know, sometimes that happens. But anyway, let's go cook. Actually, before I start cooking, I want to do an unboxing of my new glasses from Glasses USA. I picked these out for my upcoming sponsorship with them next month, but I thought, you know, I do a little spoiler reveal right now. I unfortunately lost one of my favorite pairs of glasses in Korea, but no biggie. I found another really cute pair. I'll have these linked down below, and I actually do have a really exclusive discount. Basically, you click the link if you're interested. You can layer my coupon on top of any other coupon on the site, so it's like double coupon, you know? But let's talk about the glasses. So here they are. I lost my tortoise glasses, so I wanted to get a replacement, and I thought these looked very nice, and ooh, I love them. These are the Muse McNeil in tortoise. They're a little more square than my previous pair, but I'm a really big fan. I just like having a pair of tortoise glasses on hand. So these are an absolute win, and they're also a really fantastic price. But let's get cooking. So today's dinner is really simple. I'm just doing like roasted chicken breast, roasted vegetables, some baked potatoes, because I really don't feel like working that hard. So let's get the potatoes ready. Alrighty, time to read. Alrighty friends, I can see immediately why this book is so utterly beloved, because it's just delightful from page one. So as I said, this book is set in kind of like a future setting. Basically, human society has sort of collapsed but reformed itself, and it seems kind of great, to be honest. We follow one of our main characters, sibling Dex, who, as I mentioned previously, is a monk, and they are a tea monk. And while they really love their job and they feel really good about their job and they love traveling from the different towns, because human society now, basically there was kind of a revolution by the robots, and the robots left. They went into the wilderness, and humanity basically signed an agreement with them to let them be. And now humans kind of stay within certain areas, and so everything is kind of more centralized, city-based, but still kind of like cottagecore vibes. Like, it's still very small town-esque, if you know what I mean. So Dex travels from different human settlements, different areas of these rings of settlements, and provides their services as a tea monk to help people kind of like relieve their hearts and their minds and all of these things. But Dex is beginning to feel a little lost, a little confused about what they want to do next, a little purposeless. So they kind of spontaneously decide to travel into the wilderness to just see what's there. And traveling into the wilderness is no easy feat because the roads are not kept up, and it can be very dangerous because, you know, there's a bunch of animals and all of these things, but they decide it's worth it. They just need to know what is going on. So they travel out there, and that's when they run into Moscap, a robot, and a very friendly and curious robot at that. And Moscap is interested in kind of learning and interacting with human society because they feel like humans and robots can kind of reach a new era in their existence. Instead of being so separate, you know, why not make some inroads to possible communication? And that's kind of where the story takes off. They begin traveling together, and it's just this setup of like two incredibly unexpected individuals heading out on a journey that's both physical and likely very emotional, self-discovery, interpersonal discovery, and it's just like, oh, the writing style is so homey, it immediately pulls you in. The aesthetic is just everything, and that was probably one of the fastest 75 pages I've ever read. I need to finish dinner now, and I think Clay's gonna get home soon from his little activity, but I plan to finish this tonight. no problem. It is so just nice. It's like a hug. It's like a hug in a book. I want to live there. Dinner is served. Very simple, very classic, and tasty. Clay requested that we make a cake. So we made a cake, and we're gonna watch Succession. Millie, how you feeling tonight, girly? Delicious. Good morning, everyone. I finished my first book of the vlog, A Song for the Wild Built, and I can see why this book is so popular. This was such a delightful, heartwarming read. It was a journey story, and it's just the type of book and experience that I just always love. And I'm also so excited for the sequel. As I said, the last update I had, we were following Dex and Mosscap as they were sort of heading out into the wilderness together to go on this journey. A lot of this book is about like Dex's self-discovery, finding purpose, being okay with the unknown, like this sort of thing. But another large part of the book is like an unlikely relationship and the beautiful thing that happens when you share. These two individuals come from different cultures that haven't interacted in centuries, so there's so many things that they don't know about each other, and so seeing them share and express their different cultures and explaining things, both of them with such open minds and open hearts, just such a delight. On top of that, you also saw like the sharing of insight and perspective between these two characters. Each of them kind of opened the other's eyes and minds to different ways to think or approach things, because simply their cultures are different. So they approach problems or situations with a different viewpoint, and in that difference they found such like camaraderie, and it was so lovely. This book also has such great humor. Mosscap especially is just like such a delightful character, and in contrast to Dex, it's kind of like little bit grumpy, little bit sunshine sort of variety. A 140-page book. I really feel like this packed quite the impact. It was just like a really lovely story, and I recommend anyone picking this book up, renting it from the library. Obviously it's short, so I understand, you know, it's an expensive hardback for such a short book, but for me personally, I loved it, and it delivered exactly what I was hoping it would deliver, and I can see why everyone likes it so much. So cheers. First book read. But it is now officially to start the second book of this vlog and enjoy a bit of my morning before I need to get some work done. I've already done a bit of chores around the house, and I'm dressed, which truthfully I'm shocked about. But I'm gonna start a Desolation called Peace, but I need to read a summary first because I have forgotten too much to just jump in. Friends, I have put makeup on, and I've also read 40 pages of A Desolation Called Peace. I had to read a serious summary before picking this book up. I loved A Memory Called Empire. The reason why I needed a summary, and the reason why I love book one so much, is it has so much to do with politics and diplomacy. There's so much double meaning and all of these various conversations. So it's an intricate plot. So I needed to be reminded of that. Not to mention people have very unusual names in this book. You know, like Propulsion 8, for example. As I said, this book is set in kind of a sci-fi setting. We follow our main character Mahit, who in book one basically gets a new job to be a diplomat, and is sent to this sort of capital planet that is very colonial minded. They like to take over other planets and stations in their area. And Mahit's station, in which she comes from, has kind of had some political power in the way that they kind of control a waygate that this, you know, very big planet needs to go to travel to other places, and their interest is to keep their independence. So that's kind of Mahit's job. When she arrives in book one, she realizes that her predecessor has likely been murdered, and she's thrown like headfirst into the huge political conspiracy. There's revolution, there's upheaval, there's all of these deals, and she's just trying to figure out what in the world is going on, how to survive, and also protect her space station's interest. Book one takes place over the course of 3 days, and it's fascinating. The series is fascinating, one, because the world itself is so cool. Mahit is a lover of this planet she's traveling to, but she's also an outsider, and they treat her as such. So it's a really interesting situation for her because she is fascinated by their culture, knows a lot about it, but will never be fully accepted by them. And the culture itself too, just like as you encounter in any sci-fi story, like understanding this new planet is really fascinating. Like written literature and phrasing and poems and these great overtures of expression are like really important politically and in terms of swaying society. And so kind of learning how the culture works was fascinating through Mahit's character. But now we're in book 2, and the end of book 1 was bananas and resulted in a lot of consequences that we're seeing kind of begin to play out. Political conspiracy is definitely still the name of the game. Mahit does not know who to trust anywhere. And also a physical threat is now more involved, which is involving this powerful government too. So we have what appears to be multiple characters in this one. We have some military characters and still our main character, Mahit. And it's just really intriguing. The plot throws you in right away. That's why I was like, I need a summary, because I was like, where am I? What's happening? Who's important? But once I read the summary, I felt quite settled in, and immediately I felt really pulled in because it's just such an interesting plot, and Arkady Martine's writing is like really compulsive. And because politics and diplomacy are, sorry, my oven's going off, such a large part of this book, you just never know who to trust, and it's so interesting. Lunch is served, back to a classic adult Lunchable. You know how we do around here. I did swap in some like Greek yogurt dip for the carrots instead of hummus, so you know, we're evolving. Hello everyone, I am making red beans and rice for dinner. And I'm just got the sauteing the sausage. And I put bacon in here because I didn't have ham hock. Part of the recipe. Gotta love the Instapot. Also, my peonies hopefully will bloom any second. Hopefully. Dinner is officially in the pot. I'm gonna quickly clean this up. I have not had the chance to do any more reading today, but I do plan to read tonight. But first, the Alabama Rush documentary released on HBO, and I've been dying to watch it. So that's the plan for tonight, and then I'm gonna read. But I have read 180 pages in about 24 hours, which I don't think is bad. No, it could be better, but I don't think that's too bad. I'm gonna take it as a win. It's ice cream time. It's like the Parmesan cheese. Oh yeah. Matilda and I are in bed, and I'm gonna finally sit down and read some more Desolation Called Peace, which I'm really excited about. We did watch 2 episodes of a docuseries. I was wrong about the Alabama documentary being out. It comes out tomorrow, so that's what we'll do tomorrow. But tonight I found out that the 100-Foot Wave had a season 2, so we watched 2 episodes of that. It was great, but now it's time to read. Good morning, everyone. We have coffee. I'm gonna sit down in the front room and do some reading with Matilda. She's so cute. My goal is to get a lot of reading done this morning. I got really ahead of my projects yesterday, so I'm thinking I can have like a good bout of reading. So that is my plan, and I will keep y'all updated with my progress. Hi guys, I wanted to pop in and do a reading update because I have passed the 140 page mark of A Desolation Called Peace. Here's the deal. This is one of those sequels where I'm so mad at myself for waiting so long to pick it up. It's also kind of a slow read, mostly because you really have to pay attention, but I'm enjoying this book so much. I loved A Memory Called Empire for all of the same reasons why I'm loving its sequel. This book is highly political. It's all about diplomacy. It's all about conversations that have double meaning, people maneuvering around each other's back, people making connections and kind of moving forward with their own power play. And as a reader, and as reading from different perspectives, you're not entirely sure, one, every character's motivation, but you definitely are not sure like the outcome of different conversations people are having, and you're working with the character you're reading from his perspective to try to figure out what is going on. A change from book 1 to book 2 is we are now reading from multiple perspectives, which is just so cool because it gives us eyes and insight into like different departments and different locations in this world, but like the vibe is the same in that like no one is having a forthright conversation. No one can like fully trust anyone, and like every situation is just, there's just so much tension with every chapter I'm reading, and it's just so thrilling. Like this is a political thriller while also having just such a fascinating like sci-fi world and setup. Also in book 2, which really like escalates the tension, let's say, is that there is an outside issue and force and situation that characters are also trying to figure out, which is just fascinating because you have this huge government with all of these different bureaucratic arms. They don't want to trust each other or work with each other, but they also have this like huge threat that they have to work through, which provides kind of an interesting backdrop for people to have to maneuver within. And it's just so successful in being able to read perspectives of people from these different departments, and obviously Mahit, who is entirely separate from the empire itself. It just works so well. A quick reminder too, another reason why I love this series is the world that it's set in, or I should really say like the solar system that it's set in. We obviously have this huge empire planet, which is where we found ourselves in book 1 with Mahit being an ambassador traveling there. There, the culture is very specific. One, they're incredibly high and mighty. They're colonizers, and they basically view anyone outside of their own culture, any planet that they might take in, as basically barbarians. Their language, their art, how they approach their society is just wrong. And they just have this like sense of superiority over anyone and anything. So that's kind of like important culturally to understand about them. On top of that, art, language, and like poetry is really significant within their culture itself. So the way things are framed are like overly complicated, and just kind of maneuvering and understanding this culture too is like part of why this book is so interesting, because functionally it's so different than our world. Like obviously there's some similarities in terms of like human greed and ambition, but the approach and like what is effective in their culture is just intrinsically different than ours. So watching what our main character try to like maneuver within this new place, but also just learning about how it all works is really interesting. And book 2, this same concept, this empire, if you will, is still very much present, but we're kind of watching it disseminate into different departments and in different locations, which in and itself is really, really interesting. As I mentioned, it's multi-POV. So we have Mahit, our main character and ambassador, who is just so, I love her. I love how she roots the story. She herself is constantly, one, trying to survive and figure out what's going on. And we see her once again kind of wrapped up in a really complicated and dangerous political scenario. But we also follow individuals from the military and also individuals within like the central government of this planet, which is all so cool. So again, we're watching and dealing with this conflict from many different angles, and it just gets this sense of this like large conspiracy at play, and you're trying to connect the dots, and you're trying to figure out who the actual power players are, because they never outright reveal themselves, if you know what I mean. Another big aspect of this book is just culture. As I mentioned, understanding the colonial the colonizers' culture is a big part of this book, but so is the concept of belonging. A big part of book 1 is Mahit, who kind of has a love for this empire's culture, but also constantly being treated as an outsider. But we also get a lot more insight of the culture of Lysol Station, which is where Mahit comes from, which is really interesting, in cultures of other places, and how they're different and how different people interpret those cultures too. This feeling of being an outsider, this feeling of integration is like a really large part of this book and series. And it's all just, it works together really, really successfully, but it's propulsive. Like, I read this book so slow because I really have to pay attention to like every single word that's said, because nothing is straightforward, but I'm like eating it up. It's just so political. I love the structure of it. I just need to know what's going to happen next. It's a perfect combination of like some action, but like if you love like spy, diplomacy, political thriller-esque novels, this is for you, especially because it's set in an entirely new place. So the rules are unknown to us as a reader. So we're also trying to figure that out too. And it's just so enthralling. I can't put it down, and I'm loving it so much. I should have picked this up sooner. I've been yammering on. I can see my timer now. It's been 6 minutes. So anyway, I'm really liking A Desolation Called Peace, and I'm very curious to see where it's gonna go next. I have literally no guess. A Memory Called Empire took me for a ride, blew my mind. I felt like a little idiot just kind of traveling along with everyone. And A Desolation Called Peace is giving me that same vibe, and I am here for it. I probably don't read sci-fi for a while, and then I pick up a sci-fi, I'm like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna go get dressed and start my day, but I just wanted to give you an update, as I have read a good chunk of this, but I have so much more to discover. Hi, would you believe me if I told you I was earlier wearing a really cute outfit? But I have quickly changed into comfortable clothes. Today ended up being like a little hectic, so I didn't really check in after I did like my morning reading check-in. But I finished everything I needed to do today, so I'm actually going to read now, which I'm so excited about. I feel like reading A Desolation Called Peace has been like my carrot pulling me throughout the day. I'm trying to decide if I want like a little drink. I was thinking about maybe making a latte or a little snack, but I feel like I need to get settled in first. Maybe I'll circle back to that. But for now, it's all about reading. So fireplace, cozying up. I need to pack and do some cleaning tonight. And the Alabama Rush documentary is actually out today, so I'm gonna watch that. Oh, Millie's being so cute right now. Let me show you. Look at her in the sunshine, just staring at me. Yes. But anywho, time to read, time to decompress, ready for this evening. And amazing, because I made the red beans and rice. All I do is heat that up for dinner. So I really don't have like much I need to do anymore. I've accomplished most of it outside of packing, which I always procrastinate on. Anyone else procrastinate on packing? I have no idea what I'm wearing. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, let's read a classic in my book. I've passed the 200-page mark. This book is so good. The things I said earlier is continuing to be true, but also some of our storylines are starting to converge and that the characters are starting to cross paths, and it's just so interesting. It's culture and linguistics is also part of the solution of like a major conflict. So it's just so interesting to see people at work try to solve a really dangerous problem utilizing something that I don't feel like is usually center stage, especially when like conflict is involved. And I'm just really addicted. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna read more tonight, but first I want to shower. I need to pack, as I mentioned, so we're gonna do that. And I also have lost my train of thought. Oh, I need to put rice on, eat dinner, watch TV, and then I'll do some more reading. And then obviously I'll plan to read this on the airplane tomorrow, and I'll wrap it up tomorrow. So that there is the plan, but let's go start dinner. Clay and I are now watching Below Deck. Matilda is here too. And I think I'm gonna make some cookies. Reheating dinner was delicious, 10 out of 10. All packed. So we're just gonna hang out for the rest of the night. I am basically all packed and ready to go for tomorrow morning. And now I'm just going to do some reading. I have my alarm set for like 5 a.m. so we'll see how far I get. And we will wrap this vlog up tomorrow.
I would say to make sure that you get
Hi friends, as you can see, I am with a bookshelf, but a bookshelf that is not my own. Because I've officially made it to New York, I just wanted to pop in and quickly wrap up this vlog and talk about all the books I was able to read. I did read a bit more of A Desolation Called Peace on the airplane, as you guys saw, but I did also promptly fall asleep, as what happens to the best of us in transit. I did pass the 300-page mark, and this book is just truly everything I could have wanted from a sequel. I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about the sequel, just because I loved the first book so much and I felt like the plot was so thrilling. And I don't know, sometimes it's kind of hard to top like an introduction, especially one with such a fascinating world and concept. But I just feel like this author continued to grow the world, add new and interesting plot elements, and also escalate the plot to into a very nice progression to where all the stakes are just continuing to rise. She also is continuing to explore this complex culture by introducing like other perspectives and characters and just seeing different interactions in different settings, which I think also allows us to just have a more fleshed out world and experience. It's such an interesting combination, almost anthropological in a way, just the sci-fi and the intensity of the plot, the diplomacy, all of the politics. It's just such a riveting read. And I hope to finish it while I'm here. And if not, I'll definitely finish it before the end of the month. But with that, I did read about 440 pages because I did also read A Psalm for the Wild Belt, which I didn't bring with me. But I loved this book. I'll definitely be checking out the sequel very, very soon. I just loved Dex and I loved Moscap. I loved them individually, together on their journey. Just like the whole concept of the world, it was very hopeful and cozy and endearing. And I think the journey that they're on is only going to expand in the second installment, and people actually say it's their favorite of the two that have been released so far, which is just so exciting to hear. But yeah, I mean, I read 2 knockout sci-fi books for this vlog, which I'm definitely not complaining. Clearly I need to read more sci-fi, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye!